Cleopatra's Cameo, Secrets in Stone, A Message from the Son of Man, Part 7. In the days surrounding Easter 2026, a discovery was announced from the temple complex at Karnak in Luxor, Egypt. A 2,000-year-old sandstone stele, measuring just under 2 feet tall, depicting the Roman Emperor Tiberius not as a ruler of Rome, but as Pharaoh. And it was engraved during the very time that gave rise to the first Easter, a remarkable coincidence. This discovery does not stand alone. It confirms a pattern already known, that Roman emperors functioned within the Egyptian religious system, not replacing its gods, but stepping into them. This began when Rome took control of Egypt in 30 BCE under Augustus, born Octavian, the first Roman to assume the full role of pharaoh. In Egyptian temple inscriptions, the ruler is given complete royal titulary titles that include Son of Ra. On this stele, Tiberius stands before the great triad of Thebes, Amun, the father, Mut, the mother, and their son, Conceal. A parallel structure appears in another well-known Egyptian triad, Osiris, Isis, and Horus, later modified in Alexandria to unite Osiris with Apis to create Serapis. And according to Plutarch, in his Life of Antony, Cleopatra used to appear in the dress of Isis and give audience to the people. She did not merely honor the goddess, she appeared as Isis. This same pattern, father, mother, and son, appears at the very opening of Genesis, not in translation, but in the consonants B-R-S-T-B-R-L-H-M, Ba, Ish, Et, Ab, Ra, Ella, M, Son of Man, Father, Ra, Ella, Mother. A unified structure preserved across cultures and across time. While the Tiberius stela was being carved in Luxor, a Tiberius cameo was being fashioned in Rome. It was first attested in the inventory of the treasure of the Sainte-Chapelle before 1279 as Triumph of Joseph at the court of the pharaoh. The antiquary Nicolas Claude Fabry de Peresque saw the gem in 1620 and realized it depicted the Julio-Claudian dynasty, and so an incurious curator renamed it the Great Cameo of France. Those who attempt to decode the cameo encounter an immediate problem. The scene appears to depict the coronation of Claudius, yet several figures among the living were already dead. Tiberius, Germanicus, Agrippina, Livia, all gone before Claudius ever took the throne. So what are we looking at? A historical error or a deliberate construction, one that invites us to read beyond the surface? Not a mistake, but a message. Some of the principal figures on the cameo were already dead when Claudius was crowned, and yet there they stand, alive, present, participating. So we must ask, when is a death not a death? During this same period, Ovid wrote Metamorphoses, a work devoted to a single idea, that gods and goddesses do not die, they only change form. Gods become men, men become stars, and the dead return. Plutarch warned, whenever you hear the traditional tales which the Egyptians tell about the gods, you must not think that any of these tales actually happened in the manner in which they are related. What if Nicholas of Damascus embedded enigmas in his account of Julius Caesar's assassination? What if parallel lives, including life of Julius Caesar and life of Antony, figures long treated as gods, were never meant to be read literally, but were instead enigmas to be solved? What if they were written to preserve the literal history behind the myth? Acts of the Apostles is addressed to Theophilus. Philo of Alexandria, the theologian, wrote the rules for solving enigmas. What if Luke and the Jewish historian Josephus also used those enigmas to preserve a controversial history while Acts reveals the plot? All this points to a possibility, perhaps a probability. A death can be a disguise. Was the assassination of Julius Caesar an ending or a transformation? Was it disappearance or design? The earliest surviving account of Julius Caesar's assassination comes from Nicholas of Damascus, a name that itself reads like an enigma. Nike, the Greek goddess of victory, and Laus, Latin for praise, glory, or renown, combine to suggest a deeper message. the hidden source of authority is being publicly proclaimed. Nicholas writes that Tyche had a part in this by causing Caesar himself to set a certain day on which the members of the Senate were to assemble, placing fate or divine agency at the center of the event. Yet Tyche, the embodiment of fortune, does not stand alone. Coins from the 1st century BCE depict her in a form strikingly reminiscent of Cleopatra VII, blurring the line between goddess and queen. This convergence becomes explicit in 46 BCE, when Caesar dedicated the Temple of Venus Genetrix. There he placed a golden statue of Cleopatra as Isis, alongside images of Venus and himself, an extraordinary fusion of political power and divine identity. The literary tradition reinforces this pattern. In Deification of Julius Caesar, Ovid writes that Venus, unseen, descended into the Senate, drew Caesar's soul from his body, and bore it to the stars. Meanwhile, Plutarch attributes the unfolding events to the work of a guiding goddess, Dynamis, a name that evokes divine power itself. And in the historical record, we find a striking parallel, a Queen Dynamis, contemporary with Cleopatra, moving within the same Roman sphere. Taken together, these threads suggest that the assassination of Caesar was not merely recorded as history, but encoded as a narrative in which divine feminine power, under many names, stands at the center of Rome's transformation. Nicholas of Damascus was the first to record the enigmatic assassination of Julius Caesar, writing, "The Senate rose in respect for his position when they saw him entering. Those who were to have part in the plot stood near him. Tilius Cimber approached and grasped the mantle of his toga, seeming to want to make a more positive move with his hands upon Caesar. Caesar wanted to get up and use his hands, but was prevented by Cimber and became exceedingly annoyed. That was the moment for the plotters to set to work. All quickly unsheathed their daggers and rushed at him. First, Servilius Casca struck him with the point of the blade on the left shoulder, a little above the collarbone. He had been aiming for that, but in the excitement he missed. Wait, did he strike him, or did he miss? While Cassius Longinus was trying to give him another blow, he missed and struck Marcus Brutus on the hand. Minucius also hit out at Caesar and hit Rubrius in the thigh. They were just like men doing battle against him, but no blows were actually described as hitting specifically Julius Caesar. Caesar was surrounded by those who agreed to the plot, blocking the view of those seated in the auditorium who fled as soon as the chaos began. Some of the plotters may have suffered minor cuts, but all for a good cause, because the plot was not to assassinate Caesar, but to free him to metamorphose into another identity. Dynamis conceived of the plan. Herod's friend Nicholas was the enigmatist that would record it. Plutarch was the historian who would connect it with Josephus's Antiquities and Luke's Gospel. Concluding the drama with these words, "These things may have happened of their own accord. The place, however, which was the scene of that struggle and murder, and in which the Senate was then assembled, since it contained a statue of Pompey and had been dedicated by Pompey as an additional ornament to his theater, made it wholly clear that it was the work of Dynamis which was calling and guiding the action." Dynamis' husband Asander dies around 17 BCE, the very year Augustus proclaims the renewal of the age and celebrates the secular games. And in that same moment, coins appear, a comet above the head of a wreathed man, understood to be the deified Caesar. Suetonius tells us, "A comet shone for 7 days and was believed to be the soul of Caesar." Ovid explains what that means. His soul was carried among the stars and became a star. A ruler becomes a star. A dynamis guides the transformation. Different names, different places, but the same pattern. Their son, Aspergus, Tiberius Julius Aspergus, contemporary with Tiberius Julius Caesar Augustus. So the question becomes, are we looking at separate people or a single identity carried forward? And is this the message hidden within the cameo? Plutarch tells us this story, but he does not expect us to read it simply. He gives us details, strange details, as though inviting us to ask, does this really make sense? We are told that Antony, a seasoned general, fails to end his own life and instead lingers, helpless, waiting. A man who commanded armies suddenly unable to finish what he began. Is that history or is that a signal? Then comes the most curious moment, a dying man hoisted up into a sealed tower, not carried through a door, not brought in quietly, but lifted, publicly, dramatically, as if the scene itself must be seen. Why stage it this way unless the act itself is part of the enigmatic story being constructed? And Cleopatra, composed, deliberate, receives him at the height of this spectacle. Not chaos, not panic, but control. Everything unfolds as if choreographed, as if both already understand what must appear to happen and what must not be seen. And finally, the ending we are told to believe. A powerful queen who bore children to the two most powerful men in the Roman Empire chooses death by one of the most improbable methods imaginable. A hidden serpent, a silent bite, no witnesses who truly see it happen. A story so dramatic, so symbolic, that it reads less like history and more like design. Plutarch gives us a narrative, but he fills it with impossibilities. A failed death, a staged ascent, a controlled reunion, an almost theatrical ending. Not random details, not careless writing, an enigma. And if it is an enigma, then perhaps what we are watching is not the record of two deaths, but the careful construction of a hidden story meant to be solved. We are told that Actium was the battle that decided the fate of Rome. But before a single ship moves, the first question must be asked, why this battle on these terms? Antony holds a massive advantage on land, seasoned legions, position, strength, where Rome's wars are normally decided. Octavian, by contrast, holds the advantage at sea, and yet Cleopatra chooses to abandon the advantage and meet Octavian where he is strongest. A sea battle, and then, at the critical moment, Cleopatra turns. Her fleet withdraws, not shattered, not overwhelmed, but intact and deliberate. And Antony, not because the war is lost, but because his beloved has departed, becomes distraught. With the battle still before him, with his land forces still his strength, he abandons everything and follows her. A general does not do this, not in defeat, not in confusion, not unless the outcome is already decided. But Plutarch does something else. In the middle of this account, he inserts a brief encounter. Strange, unnecessary, and therefore important. As Octavian walks among his troops, he comes upon a man and a donkey. He asks the man his name, and the man replies, "My name is Utica, and my donkey's name is Nike." And this, we are told, so impresses Octavian that he commemorates the pair with bronze figures, a passing joke or a signal. Eutychus means fortunate, favored by Tyche, the goddess of fortune, mentioned by Nicholas of Damascus, writing, "Tyche had a part in this," referring to the assassination of Julius Caesar, and Nike is victory itself, fortune and victory. But placed strangely. The man carries fortune, the donkey carries victory, and this is where the enigma deepens, because in Jewish tradition, a man and a donkey appear again. Simeon ben Shetak, brother of the Hasmonean queen Alexandra Salome, his students present him with a donkey, and when they remove the saddle, they discover a hidden treasure, a precious stone. He returns it, an act of such integrity that the merchant praises him, and in so doing, reveals a great teacher of Israel, Hillel. Hillel, the founder of the house of Hillel, had a son, Simeon ben Hillel. Hillel also had a grandson, Gamaliel ben Simeon. Hillel's grandson was Jesus, son of Gamaliel, a man, a donkey, a hidden treasure. Not a joke, but a pattern. A battle fought where it should not be fought, a withdrawal that is not defeat, a general who abandons victory, and in the middle of it, fortune and victory, quietly named and deliberately misplaced. This is not how history is recorded. This is how an enigma is written. An old man and a donkey appear at the Battle of Actium. The old man's name is associated with Tyche, the goddess of fortune. The donkey bears the name Victory. They are remembered by Augustus, Octavian, as he celebrates his victory at Actium and his control of the Roman world. At the same time, An old man and a donkey live in Jerusalem. The man is Simeon ben Shetach, brother of the Hasmonean queen, Alexandra Salome. His honesty becomes legendary. It reflects the teaching later associated with Hillel the Elder. What is hateful to you, do not do to your fellow, a principle that would later be expressed positively. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Shetach's honesty so impresses a merchant that he cries out, a phrase that carries more than gratitude, a phrase that acts as an enigma, a signal embedded in the story. Simeon ben Shetach is remembered as a foundational figure in the Hasmonean dynasty that would become the House of Hillel, set in dialogue with the House of Shammai to teach peace in a golden age. When Salome Alexandra ruled Judea, she did not rule alone. At her side, her brother Simeon ben Shetach. To the north, it reached into Galilee, land once identified with the tribes of Israel. To the south, it held Idumea, a region drawn into the Hasmonean sphere. To the east, across the Jordan, her authority touched the lands of Perea, and to the west, her influence moved toward the coastal plains. This was no small kingdom. It was a restored Jewish state, expansive, fortified, and held together through political strength and religious authority. Under her rule, the priestly and scholarly traditions were strengthened. The influence of the Pharisaic school grew, a tradition later associated with Hillel the Elder. So while the ancient kingdoms of Judah and Israel were no longer named as one, their lands, their peoples, and their traditions were once again brought under a single crown. Ovid, Livy, and Virgil, perhaps a virgin of El, wrote that Julius Caesar was a descendant of Venus, depicted on coins and engravings with an 8-pointed star. Octavius, Octavian, and Octavia can be translated Aetvius, Aetvian, and Aetvia. Coincidence or enigma? Rome could not name Cleopatra on Caesar's coin, so it named Venus and gave Venus the face of Cleopatra. Note the spear, shield, captive, and surrounding attributes on this coin, motifs that reappear, transformed, on the Great Cameo of France. The visual language is consistent: victory, protection, and divine sanction. Look closely at the smaller details, the arrangement of weapons, the posture of the figures, even the adornments. Do they point beyond Venus alone? Might they also evoke Minerva, Pallas Athena, goddess of strategy, wisdom, and guarded power? Front of coin, Venus's hair is pulled back into a bun with an 8-pointed star ornament. She is holding a spear that appears behind her neck and head. This symbol of power is behind her, present but not employed in public. A brooch centers on a raised disc, like a small sun, a point of focus and authority, even as the greater power in the scene remains displaced behind her. This coin presents a figure that appears to merge male and female traits within a system of Roman power. On the left is a skeletal, naked figure with large breasts and a penis, either collapsing or fleeing, perhaps representing a woman condemned for crossing boundaries reserved for men. On the right sits a fully clothed woman in mourning. The oval shield aligns with Eastern military traditions associated with the broader Near Eastern world, including Judea, while the rectangular shield reflects distinctly Roman military identity, read alongside traditions such as the Gospel of Thomas 114, where the feminine must become male to enter the realm of authority, and historical figures like Cleopatra, who adopted male-coded titles and imagery. The scene may reflect a broader ancient pattern. Power was structured through masculine identity, even when its underlying source remained feminine. Perhaps some powerful woman had convinced Julius Caesar that the greatest gift he could offer Rome was a balance of socio-economic and gender power. Constructed circa 17 BCE, an ancient pyramid associated with Romulus, the mythical founder of the city, stood as a marker of origins, identity, and divine kingship. Its construction coincided with the death of King Asander and with Octavian Augustus's renewal of the Ludi Seculares, the secular games, proclaiming the dawn of a new age. But the pyramid of Romulus did not endure. It was dismantled. Its stone, according to later tradition, was repurposed, absorbed into the very fabric of St. Peter's Basilica. a transformation in stone, Romulus, Caesar, Jesus the Nazarene. 3 figures, 3 origins, 3 claims to divine authority. Was the pyramid a tomb, a symbol, or part of a larger narrative, one that linked Rome's mythical past to its imperial present, preserving a history that could not be spoken openly? As the old monuments disappeared and new ones rose in their place, the question remains, what was being preserved and what was being rewritten? Dynamis was married 3 times. Her first husband was Asander, a name that may itself conceal an enigma. S echoes the Hebrew Aish, man. Andros is the Greek word for man. Asander, Ish Andros. Dynamis's husband is symbolically linked to both Jerusalem and Rome. Recall that the house of Hillel's reading of Genesis 1:1 opens with Bar Ish, son of man. In the Greek Christian scriptures, son of man becomes Huios tou anthropou. Jesus the Nazarene refers to himself more than 80 times by this title. The rulers of Pontus are frequently depicted wearing the pileus, a cap sometimes associated with freed slaves, but also with Eastern royal identity and liberation symbolism. And in Mark's Midrash, a figure named Pontus Pilate stands at the center of the drama. Pontus Pilate, Pileus. Coincidences or enigmas? Dynamis' second husband was Scribonius, which, according to historians, did not make Dynamis a Scribonia. However, enigmatically, the wife of Scribonius would be a Scribonia. Scribonia was Octavian Augustus' second wife and the mother of Julia the Elder. Coincidence or enigma? Dynamis' third husband was Polemon I of Pontus, a client king installed by Octavian Augustus. Their marriage secured legitimate political control of the Bosporan kingdom, as Dynamis stood within the rightful dynastic line through her Mithridatic heritage. When Polemon I died, Dynamis and Asander's son, Aspergus, became king of Bosporus. Aspergus married Gepepiris. They had 2 sons. Their names were Mithridates Philogermanicus Philopatris, translated loyal to Germanicus, loyal to the fatherland, and Cotes I Philo Caesar Philoromeos Eusebius, translated loyal to Caesar, loyal to Rome, the pious one. Coincidence or enigma? Dynamis was Polemon's second wife. His first wife was Pythodorida of Pontus. After Polemon I's death, Pythodorida married Archelaus of Cappadocia and continued ruling. And Archelaus of Cappadocia was the father of the virgin Glaphyra, who married Herod the Great's son Alexander, and according to Josephus, later Juba II, Cleopatra's son-in-law. This sequence places Glaphyra within the same dynastic network that connects Judea, Pontus, and the Alexandrian court. Her son Alexander and Alexander the Alabach emerge in the same generation. 2 figures bearing the same name, moving through overlapping royal and Alexandrian spheres. Polemon I and Pythodorida's son, Marcus Antonius Polemon II, Mark Antony's great-grandson, via his grandmother, became king of Pontus. He married the Hasmonean princess Berenice, who appeared with her brother Herod Agrippa II in the Acts of the Apostles, chapters 25 to 26. Herod Agrippa II and Berenice's sister Drusilla married Felix of the royal family of Emesa. Drusilla and Felix appear in Acts of the Apostles, 24-24. Coincidence or enigma? Abraham's great-grandson, Joseph, was sold into slavery in Egypt and confined to prison. There, Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker were also imprisoned, and Joseph was assigned to serve them. Both men dreamed and were troubled, for no one could interpret. Joseph said to them, "Do not interpretations belong to LHM? Tell me your dreams." And through LHM their meanings were revealed. As it is written, Pharaoh restored the chief cupbearer to his position, so that he once again placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand, but he hanged the chief baker, just as Joseph had interpreted. 2 full years passed. Then Pharaoh himself dreamed, and none could interpret. So Joseph was summoned. Pharaoh said, "I have heard it said that you can interpret dreams." But Joseph answered, "I cannot, but LHM will give Pharaoh a sound answer." And LHM's answer came, 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of famine. Let Pharaoh appoint a wise man, Joseph said, to oversee the land. During the years of plenty, store a fifth of the harvest. Gather the grain, preserve it in the cities, so the land may survive the years of famine to come. This counsel pleased Pharaoh and all his officials. And Pharaoh said, "Can we find anyone like this man, in whom the spirit of LHM abides?" Then he turned to Joseph. "Since LHM has made this known to you, there is no one as discerning and wise. You shall be over my house. All my people shall obey your command. Only with regard to the throne will I be greater than you." And Pharaoh placed Joseph over all the land of Egypt. He removed his signet ring and placed it on Joseph's hand. He clothed him in fine linen and placed a gold chain around his neck. From prisoner to ruler, through LHM, Joseph is raised to save the nations. The precious jewel hidden beneath the saddle, Mother Rachel buried beneath the tower. What was hidden was never lost. Through Ella, mother and daughter Jerusalem, what was hidden rises into light.